Now, in a move to tackle the challenge of increasing hostility and marginalization of Ndigbo under the All Progressives Congress government of President Bola Tinubu, the President General of Ohaneze, Ndigbo, Chief Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, over the weekend, said the organization had set up two major committees, namely Peace and Reconciliation Committee. Iwuanyanwu, who also reacted to stories about the visit of former President Olusegun Obasanjo to his Owerri residence, explained that Obasanjo was on a private visit to Imo State and paid him a courtesy visit in his capacity as the leader of Ohaneze, Ndigbo. He, however, traced the APC marginalization of Ndigbo to the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari when the whole of the Southeast and South-South geopolitical region was excluded from the railway project. Iwuanyanwu argued that Igbos are being punished unjustly for supporting Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Joining us on the show this morning to discuss how the Peace and Reconciliation Committee intend to take the message of peace and oneness of Nigeria across the length and breadth of Nigeria is Chief Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, the President General of Ohaneze, Ndigbo. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the morning show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad to be with you.
Well, good morning, Chief. Good to have you on the program. Well, very quickly, 5 days ago or thereabouts.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. 5 days ago or thereabouts, there was that news in the papers that you hosted President Olusegun Obasanjo, who was on a private visit and came to visit you in your capacity as President General of Ohaneze, Ndigbo. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, yes. I'm hearing you.
So, Ambassador Emuche said the meeting discussed, focused on mutual interest, and that it was symbolic. You would like to share with us some of those issues of mutual interest that the leadership of Ohaneze Ndigbo discussed with President Obasanjo, and how symbolic, in your view, his visit was?
Well, as I said earlier on, the visit was purely a private visit, obviously. But the situation in Nigeria today is so bad, so critical that it must be discussed when leaders meet. And I don't think anybody needs to be told the situation. Things are not good. And it is important to underline the fact that it is not proper to blame this government for what is happening, because this is a culmination of errors and failures of many past administrations. So, but the worst situation is in not taking steps, not taking action. I believe that the government, in the past few days, they have taken some steps which are giving some confidence to Nigerians. When they have taken steps to suspend somebody who actually was suspected to have done a wrong thing. Mark you, she has not been convicted by any lockup, but it's normal to suspend her if she's free, that if she's not found guilty, she will come back to her job. And she has also, the government has taken practical steps to show they identify with the sufferings of the masses by cutting down the entourage, because the entourage of the visit abroad is embarrassing. When we talk about over 500 people following an entourage, it's very embarrassing. So I think the president has shown further things must be done. One thing is clear. In 1914, when Lugard amalgamated Nigeria, Nigeria have got ethnic nationalities, people with different culture, people with different language, people with different religion. They were not the same. It was clear to us at that time that the survival of Nigeria will depend on our ability to manage our differences, to manage all these differences we have. And of course, our forebears before independence were able to manage it. The military intervention in 1966 was absolutely very unfortunate. It was the saddest thing that ever happened to Nigeria. Unfortunately, that is blamed on Igbos. But there was no reason for Igbos to topple that government, but it was blamed on us. Now, that particular government, before independence, they had a constitution, a true federal constitution, a constitution that could actually apply and try and bring without a lot of strain to a people who have diverse background like Nigeria. We had a true federal constitution in 1960, 1963, and that worked for us. Later on, they changed to a unitary constitution, which is not right. Now, that is why we in Igbo land, we are saying, please, let us have a true federal constitution. What we are operating today is a unitary government. It doesn't work for a people who have diverse background. Take many countries. If you go to a place like Britain, you have Scotland, you have Wales, you have England, they have a constitution that binds them together and is working for them. It's not a unitary government. If you go to America even, America, we are supposed to be following American constitution. But what they have is not a unitary government. Every state in America have got a certain level of autonomy. Now, I believe that the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should take steps to see if we can actualize this restructuring of Nigeria. Without a proper restructuring, Nigeria will continue to have problems. There is no way this country can survive. Today, everybody is talking of presidency. In a restructured Nigeria, the presidency will not attract so much attention as it does today. Because today, every power is vested on the president. As I said last time, for example, a child who is born in South or Southeast in the past 30 to 40 years have not even seen a train before. He doesn't know what it's all about. But we have borrowed money. And the whole money we borrowed was invested in railway line from Western Nigeria to Northwest. So these are some of the problems because the people in power, the person in power, the people, Southeast was not in power, South was not in power. These are some of the problems we have. Now, coming specifically to one of Igbos, our own is very serious. It's very, very serious. We feel very sad about what is happening to us. When we came together as one country, Lagos became a capital. Naturally, in every country in the world, people all work together to develop their capital. The moment in 1914, once Lagos was made the capital of Nigeria, it was the duty of all Nigerians to come together to develop our capital. Our capital, Lagos, became the pride of our country. Igbos came in and participated. I must tell you, Igbos, by nature, once they say they are with you, they are with you. They are people who, when they make a commitment, they keep to it. Igbos they did a lot to develop the place. We are not saying that Igbos built Lagos alone. No, they couldn't have built Lagos alone. We didn't say that there were no other inhabitants. There were. So the point is that, but you see, right, they played a major role in shaping the destiny of Lagos today. Yes, now, the same thing with Abuja. When Abuja was made the federal capital, it was moved in. Now, today, Igbos have been Igbos have been abused and been insulted, called all sorts of names, called greedy because of their efforts to develop Abuja and Lagos. Even up to a point that people are now saying, because in the last election, a candidate Peter Obi, who was supported by majority of Igbos. Mark you, not every Igbo man voted for Peter Obi, because this is a democracy. There were Igbos in APC. Igbos in APC voted for APC candidates.
All right, Chief Iwuanyanwu, let me come in here.
Everybody is now saying because...
Chief Iwuanyanwu, let me come in here,
yes.
please. Thank you. Sorry, you will still continue
yes,
with that.
Come in, please.
But
yes,
let me ask a question with regards to that. I mean, we had submitted that your feelings or your thoughts around the marginalization of the Igbo people in Nigeria started not just from this administration, even from the previous administration, and the allocations, yes. especially in infrastructural development, demonstrated that marginalization. So
yes.
a Peter Obi factor was not present in the last administration. So it couldn't possibly be that would be, because that's what you're centering on now. During the Muhammadu Buhari administration, that wasn't the case. Well, aside that, in response to what Ohaneze, Ndigbo have said is marginalization, you set up the Peace and Reconciliation Committee. What you're hoping to do is to preach oneness, yes. across Nigeria, especially something, a statement that was released which was quite curious, that there have been anti-Igbo activities in areas like Lagos, Abuja, and other parts of the country following, the last election. Perhaps could yes. you give us a bit more detail into that, the experiences of your people, and then yes. what would this committee hope to do to fix that?
Okay, I wish you will allow me, because it's a very important thing to us. Listen, we actually after coming specifically before the last election, there have been unverified information circulating in many circles that Igbos have dominated, that Igbos have major investments in Abuja, Igbos have major investments in Lagos. That was before the election. These informations were not verified. There is nothing that verified that Igbos have there is no statistics that prove that Igbos have, but people believe that Igbos have got. Now, after the election, the candidates Igbo supported, one in Abuja, the candidates Igbo supported, one in Lagos. It was now confirmed by all these people who are against Igbos that yes, that the only way now to handle Igbos is to cripple, they use the word cripple. Several meetings, clandestine meetings have been held in places where people said that it is now important to cripple the Igbos, and that the way to cripple them is by crippling their businesses in Lagos, crippling their businesses in Abuja. These informations get to us. It gets to me as the leader of Ndigbo. I've got this information. I don't believe this information, but you see, when I see certain things happening, for example, suddenly after the election, Igbo buildings were being demolished in various places with excuses. I have investigated demolitions in Lagos, for example, and it is very clear to me that some of them didn't follow the process of law, didn't follow the process of law of any civilized society. You cannot come to anywhere and start demolishing somebody's structure without telling him. In the first place, in every place, when a building is going on, if the person has violated the construction, the building people must go as first to mark it. But however, these people just come in without any court order, they demolish them. This is not a proper thing. We have raised our objection, and I'm glad to observe that I think the government of Lagos State and all those doing this have stopped. I'm happy, because we are not objecting to government acquiring any property for overriding public interest. They can. It's a right of any government, but the government must follow the right. But if somebody have come into a place, invested his life saving, and suddenly he wakes up one morning and see the building demolished, a child goes to school, before he comes back, his house where he left the money was demolished. I think it's a very hostile thing, and I'm happy. Many right-thinking Nigerians are with us. I must tell you frankly that we have, even in Lagos, many people in Lagos are supporting us. So many right-thinking Nigerians are with us. So I believe that this is a very important point, because there is also the threat that Igbos, whenever they have license for anything, to not be renewed. Igbos may not get contracts on that, but that of contract, to be honest, most of the Igbos business don't get contract. They buy their contract. If you go to Abuja, most of the prosperous Igbo businessmen, they normally buy contract from other people.
Okay, sir.
Because we don't get it. Yes. Okay. So the truth about that, then, yes. Do you have anything to go ahead?
Yes, I have a question.
So
sir.
now we're talking about the truth and listen. Let me tell you about the truth.
Yes, talk about
the Reconciliation Committee. This matter has become so much that myself, well, I'm now the leader. I have decided that the best thing is to have go to the fact and let Nigerians know the truth. One malicious falsehood against the Igbos was the Civil War. The Civil War and then the coup of 1966. 1966, Igbos were blamed for the coup. The coup was a military operation. Many other coups have come after that, led by other groups. I believe that, you see, it's unfair for Nigerians to break. The coup was very bad. We are not happy that great leaders like Ahmadu Bello, like Tafawa Balewa, and others were killed. But they forget to say that that coup failed, and the person who made it to fail was an Igbo man, a General Ironsi. And even Ironsi, who was eventually voluntarily given power by the politicians, was killed again. And that is how all this trouble we have started. And people have not said that even this secession, when we went to Abuja, Aburi in Ghana for peace conference, and at Aburi we agreed on certain restructuring of Nigeria to make it easy for us in the south, southeast, and south to there. But it was violated. So this is how we talk about secession. The truth about it is that Igbos have invested. Yes, today, young Igbos are talking about secession. They are serious about it. They are serious because they don't see future for themselves in Nigeria. They don't see any future. They think in politics, they don't have a future. They think in business, they don't have a future. But we, the older ones, have been begging them and appealing to them that, because we know there are potentials, there are a lot of opportunities. And above all, we believe in God Almighty. So this committee has been set up, and we're going to produce our own story. We're going to produce our own story about the events in Nigeria from 1966. We're going to produce a book which we are going to keep in Nigeria for posterity to know the position of Igbos. Because today, a young Northerner, for example, will think Igbos hate Northerners by killing two great leaders from the North. It's not true. But when we put our story, this committee will put the story, it will be clear what the position is. The committee will also make contact with leaders in all the various ethnic groups and then find out. I'm not saying Igbos are angels. Igbos definitely must have made some mistakes. Igbos must have done things wrong in those places. So my committee on peace and reconciliation will also find out what Igbos are doing wrong in all the various places. And then we will try to make effort to get them through, because it's going not only to tell our story, but also to visit all these places, because Igbos are everywhere. Igbos, as you already know, are everywhere, and there is nothing we can do to stop them. They are there, and it is our culture and tradition. When Igbos stay anywhere, they live there, and they develop that place. That is the culture of Igbos.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Real quickly, so I've got two questions to ask you. By any chance, would you like to just...
Yes, please.
Probably, if you want to, take us through The kind of conversations you had with Chief Olusegun Obasanjo when he just paid you a courtesy visit, that's number one. Number two, you said you've been able to investigate that most of these demolitions were, you know, racially motivated. Where's your proof? I'd like to see your proof to all of this, the investigations you made as regards the demolition.
Okay.
Your
now,
proof,
thank you very
if we
much.
can get your proof on this. Yes, sir.
Now, Obasanjo is a very good friend of mine. He paid me a courtesy call. He saw me. He said, Emmanuel, how are you? How are you? He came with so many people. I didn't have any private discussion with him. It was open. He came with an entourage, so it was open in my hall, my house. So we exchanged greetings, we talked and so on. Well, obviously, we whispered a few things, which actually there was nothing. There was nothing apart from our personal discussion. So nothing serious about Nigeria. But obviously, we have a problem. We have problems. So the truth about it is we didn't have enough time because he was in a hurry. He was actually going to meet up another appointment. So we didn't actually discuss much. So there's not much we discussed. But everybody, obviously, we have problems. And I think everybody, well, of course, he knows our problems. So there's nothing, so he didn't spend too much time. Now, coming to the demolition, I can tell you, now let me tell you about that. And listen, and I want Nigerians to listen. This story was brought to me as the leader of Igbos. I sent some members of National Assembly to go and find out the facts. They came there and brought me a report. I sent some leading Igbos in Lagos. They brought me the facts. Most of the reports were conflicting. Some of them said that the people didn't obey, they were given notice to not demolish. But I had decided, because I know Igbos very well, I know my people. No Igbo man will go and gamble with his money when he knows it can be lost. Igbos have lived in Ikeja, Igbos have lived in Ayaba, La Papa, Ikoyi, Victoria Land. We have never in the history had the story that Igbos don't obey laws, that they go and build without obeying law. That is not part of our character. And knowing my people very well, so I decided to go. I traveled and went to that Boala Ado, that village myself. I went there myself. I spent over 5 or 6 hours. I was there until about 8 p.m. I saw everything. They told me the story. The truth is that, one, the land was not government land. They bought it from the villagers. They call it Omolenle or something like that. They say it's a village. They bought it from, it's a native land. That means, in fact, at the time they bought the land, there was no municipal planning. You see, you know, some part of Nigeria today, natives sell land, and you can build without that. So they bought it from the village. And then they started developing. At the time they bought it, they didn't know that there was any distance and so on. Now, later on, government planned and put up roads in some of those, they plan a layout there. That is fine. As a people, we are not objecting to it. We want anything the government think can be done in Lagos to develop Lagos, fine. Then the government must take the following steps. One, get a court injunction, go to court. If you assess the property, pay them compensation. Because these people have bought it from the community, bought from villagers, they paid. It's not a government hand, they lend with impunity. This is a land they bought from the owners, the native owners. They call them Omonlele, something like that. So they should go to those people. Government should, first of all, value this land and pay compensation. That is all we want. We are not telling the government not to carry out their duty. Government has a right anywhere to do that, but the citizen must be, the evaluation, citizens should be paid.
Chief?
And if possible, given time, This idea of somebody going to somewhere before he comes back, his building is down.
Chief,
I think
if
it's
you
wrong.
can hear me.
So that is our position. We are not saying government should not demolish, but we said we are all Nigerians, and this time people are suffering. People are in difficulty. Part of the thing a government should do now to bring unity, peace, and happiness is to pay this, to promise these people, pay them that you are going to pay compensation.
Chief,
that's all we
Chief
want.
Iwuanyanwu,
For example, again,
if you
there
can
is
hear
one
me,
man.
if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, your point is very
I'm hearing
clear.
you.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
just about 2 minutes to go. And you are not doing badly with your Yoruba, Monile.
Okay.
It was clear enough.
Monile.
Anyway, Chief.
Monile, that's correct.
Yes.
Well, you know, I schooled in Yoruba, and I schooled there, so I know.
Okay.
I schooled in Lagos.
Yes. So very quickly, sir, this peace committee, who is going to head it?
Well, I think
who are the members?
I was talking about, there is one other man. There's one other man. That man. There's one other man, Wajaku. He's an Eze in Lagos, one of the prominent Igbos in Lagos. He has been in detention because they said he mentioned the name of IPOB. This man has been in detention. Every effort to get him out, I'm not even sure, but I haven't been in touch with him. But by the time I went to Lagos about 3 weeks ago. By the time I went to Lagos, he was still in detention. Unless he was detained before Christmas, I was released. But this man, even if it's bailable offense, I don't see why Wajak, that man, Eze Wajak, should be kept in prison. Because these are some of the things we believe in. Because it's a bailable offense. He didn't commit. He didn't commit treason. He didn't commit any offense. So we don't see why such a thing should happen. You know, and then let me tell you one thing again. You see, we believe that this thing can be corrected. Before so many years ago, there was a slogan everywhere: Igbo domination, Igbo domination. Everybody was saying Igbo domination. Igbo domination was because in those days, British left a legacy of merit. When there was an advertisement for appointment, people competed and the best got it. Many Igbos got. And so by 1999, we brought in this federal character. Igbos accepted that federal character. We knew, accepting it, that it was a child born by an Igbo parent from the date of birth. By that law, is at a disadvantage. Because if a child from Igbo, born by Igbo parents, wants to go and study medicine or engineering or law, he has to score more. But you see, the problem we have is that when it comes to a thing that will favor Igbos, they don't bother about it. Like when the president appointed ministers, he appointed only 5 ministers out of 48.
Well, Chief.
By law of federal character, we should get 8. Then the other point is, we
Chief,
need
if you can hear me.
additional states. We need additional states.
Well,
we
Chief,
need to make our own 6 like others.
Chief, if you can
We
hear
are
me.
losing billions of naira, and we need it.
Chief,
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Chief, if you can hear me. Unfortunately, we seem to have run out of time. I'm
hearing you. I'm hearing you very
There's still a lot to talk about. We'd just like to thank you very much for joining us on The Morning Show.